Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today we're taking a look at something a little bit different. I've been a massive real-time strategy fan since the original Command & Conquer released back in 1995, and I was incredibly sad, and well, still am really, over the fact that EA decided to completely kill off that entire franchise. I guess RTS games just aren't good enough moneymakers for EA these days. So I was super stoked when this game here was announced, since to me, it looks like a love letter to the Command & Conquer franchise, and I have to say, this really gives me Tiberian Sun vibes in particular. This is Tempest Rising, a new RTS inspired by the greats of the 90s and the 2000s, set in a modern day alternate history war scenario. So you can go and play this right now if you want. The opening mission is available on Steam as a playtest, and if you've ever played a Command & Conquer game before, you'll be right at home here. It contains everything you would expect from an RTS tribute such as this. So you've got 3 playable factions here. The one I'm playing as right now is the GDF, the Global Defense Forces, an obvious nod there to the GDI from the Command & Conquer series. So you get access to a few different units in this playtest here, like riflemen or grenadiers, and there are also these drone controllers that are quite an interesting unit. They only come equipped with a pistol, but their drone, which I believe automatically regenerates, shoots rockets, and they also have a separate stance they can switch into that allows you to take control of the drones themselves and then use them to scout around the map or hit key targets. And then you've got the Sentinel vehicle, which is your regular sort of armoured buggy or jeep, but it can swap to marking projectiles, which mark attacked enemies, allowing you to gather intel from them once defeated. Now, as for the enemy faction, the Tempest Dynasty, they have flamethrower infantry and flame tanks. You know, they really feel a lot like Nod from Command & Conquer, and you're going to hear me saying this a lot because there really are a lot of tie-ins to those older RTS games. Now, there will be a third playable faction available as well, but so far they haven't really revealed anything about it. But what they have said is that each faction is going to have its own approach to combat and economy. Now, it wouldn't be much of an RTS without some classic RTS base building, and the economy in this game works very similarly to that of CNC. So you get an MCV, or a mobile construction vehicle, you deploy it, and then you can make buildings. Now, once you have a refinery, your harvester will go and seek out this stuff called Tempest. So Tempest are these strange vine-like plants that sort of sizzle with electricity that appear to have overtaken the planet in the fallout of this nuclear war. We don't really know the story behind them, but needless to say, we've figured out a way to harvest them and turn them into cold hard cash. So pretty similar to Tiberium, really. Alongside the money, you'll notice you also have a supply count in the top right there, and at least for this faction here, you have intel which you need to construct and recruit certain buildings and soldiers. Now, I'm not sure if intel is a universal resource or if it's tied to the GDF faction, but that's where the mechanic of those marking rounds I mentioned earlier comes into play. Now, you also get specialists in this game, which are similar, I guess, to heroes from other RTSs. That's a bit of a decisive topic, whether those should be in an RTS game, but they're not like super powerful here, so they're not absolutely game-changing. You know, the one I got here is the Riot Medic. He heals your infantry, but he can also place down a healing turret for the price of 20 intel, which will heal all your infantry within the area. However, as far as I can tell, you can only get one of these at a time. So the overall power of these hero characters, or these specialists, feels pretty much on par of what we've already seen in the likes of Tanya from the Command & Conquer series. So I can already tell that the gameplay and the mechanics that are on offer here, that this game is going to be able to give you, you know, that deep, rewarding gameplay that I know a lot of RTS players look out for. And they have told us that there will be a ranked matchmaking mode that uses the ELO rating system. Now, if you hadn't noticed it already, the music in this game goes hard. It is absolutely fantastic. It feels to me like classic CNC music crossed with Doom. I absolutely love it. Now, what I really love about this is that the devs, and this game is being developed by Slipgate Ironworks and 2B Games, a lot of these guys have a long history with the Command & Conquer series, which probably comes as no surprise. In fact, the lead designer, Brandon Castile, runs an in-depth RTS blog called Wayward Strategy. So they are definitely, big fans of the series like me, who have sort of been left without a foot to stand on after EA pretty much abandoned the franchise and shut down all their studios that were working on it. But in an interview with PC Games N, they were asked about the similarities of EA's Command & Conquer to this series, and they said, to be honest, if this means that EA will, forgive my French, get off its ass and make a new Command & Conquer game as it should be made, then I'm down for it. And I absolutely love that. These guys have just, said to themselves, you know what, if EA won't make another CNC game, then we will. And you can see the inspiration of that everywhere, from the logo to the GDF faction, or the Global Defense Forces that I'm playing as here, to the resource gathering in the game. There's even an obvious tribute to the original Command & Conquer in this first mission here, where you're tasked with taking down the enemy SAM sites so you can get your Conyard up and running. And the great thing is that these guys aren't the only ones bringing back some excellent RTS games, with Blizzard also neglecting their StarCraft and Warcraft games. A bunch of their old StarCraft 2 developers basically realized that Blizzard were never going to make another RTS, and so they left, formed their own studio, and are now creating Stormgate, which also looks incredibly promising. So there really seems to be a bit of an RTS revival going on here. People, developers, players, we've all just gotten bored of waiting for the big devs out there to actually make some good RTS games, and people have just taken it into their own hands, which is, I think, absolutely fantastic. And personally, I can't wait to get stuck into Tempest Rising, and who knows, maybe this will, light a fire under EA's arse. Now, we haven't gotten a release date yet for Tempest Rising. It's still just coming soon, but you can wishlist it over on Steam. And if you're interested in this kind of thing, I really suggest that you do so. But from the playtest that I played, it seemed fairly polished, it seemed pretty bug-free. However, there may still be a lot of work to do on the game, so perhaps this is going to be the first of those RTS games that we're going to see release. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to playing the full release of this. Now, I completely forgot to mention this earlier on in the video because I've mainly been showing you guys and talking about the gameplay here, which arguably is what matters the most, but there are of course full cinematics between every single mission. There are characters that you can interact with, and the character I've seen here in the playtest is a little bit cringy, a little bit one-dimensional, and definitely very stereotypical, but I think that's sort of in keeping with the original Command & Conquer games, which this game is, as we've already gone over, largely inspired by. So you are going to get 2 fully fledged 15 mission campaigns here, along with all of the multiplayer stuff, of course. I think it's going to be a blast, honestly. I can't wait to play this one. This is not, sponsored, by the way, or endorsed by anybody. Like, nobody's talked to me. I'm just putting this video out here because RTS games just really hold a special place in my heart. They're some of my favorite games. There have just been far too few of them in the recent decade, really, or so. So, got to do my part in spreading the word. Guys, as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like below, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.